In this video, we are going to learn multimeter basics and how to use a multimeter the professional way. What is multimeter? A multimeter is a portable instrument used to identify issues in electrical components. It is among the most commonly used tools in the HVAC industry. What is the purpose of a multimeter? A multimeter can be utilized to measure AC and DC voltage, AC and DC current, resistance, continuity, capacitance, temperature. Types of multimeters. There are two types of multimeters that will be discussed in the following section: digital multimeters, clamp multimeters. Digital multimeters. Before digital multimeters existed, individual tools were required for each type of measurement. One instrument was used to measure voltage, another for current, and a different one for resistance. Digital multimeters merged all these measuring devices into a single unit. Digital multimeters consist of a dial that determines what we are measuring, a display that presents the measurement readings, ports used for attaching accessories. We will discuss these components in greater detail in the multimeter components section. Clamp multimeters. A clamp multimeter is a type of digital multimeter that includes an additional current sensor. The current sensor is located within the red clamp at the top of the multimeter. Refer to the image on the right for an example. A clamp meter is capable of performing all the same measurements as a digital multimeter. Clamp meters offer several advantages over digital multimeters when measuring current. Clamp multimeters are significantly safer to operate and can measure higher current levels compared to digital multimeters. Some clamp meters are capable of measuring up to 2,500 amps of current, while most digital multimeters can measure only up to 10 amp. Preventing damage to multimeter. What happens if the current you measure is more than your multimeter can handle? Typically, measuring a current level that exceeds the multimeter's capacity can damage the device and potentially cause an electric shock. Fortunately, multimeters contain a component known as a fuse, which serves to protect the user. What is a fuse? A fuse is present in nearly every electronic device we use. A fuse is a component engineered to safeguard electrical equipment from excessive current or voltage surges. Most multimeters are equipped with a built-in fuse. How does a fuse function? When the multimeter gets too much current or voltage, the wire inside the fuse melts. When the wire melts, it breaks the circuit inside the multimeter. The broken circuit stops extra current or voltage from entering the meter. A burnt fuse, a fuse with a melted wire, is known as a blown fuse. Fuses can only be used once. Once the wire melts, the multimeter will stop working properly. The fuse must be replaced before using the multimeter again. Fused multimeters. When buying a multimeter, make sure it has a built-in fuse. Fused multimeters are essential for protecting you from electric shock or serious injury. Multimeter ratings. Each multimeter has 3 ratings that determine its quality. The 3 ratings are range, resolution, accuracy. Range. The range rating shows the highest and lowest values a multimeter can measure. We should buy a multimeter that can measure the range of the equipment we are working with. The meter will show OL if we test a component that exceeds its range. For instance, suppose we have a meter with a range of 1 ampere to 10 amperes. If we test equipment carrying 20 amperes of current, the fuse in our meter will blow, and we could get injured. If we measure equipment with 0.7 amps of current, the meter won't be able to read it, because the value is below its range. Resolution. A multimeter's resolution indicates how many decimal places it can show. The greater the number of decimal points, the more precise the measurement. If we require highly precise measurements, a multimeter with high resolution will be important. For example, imagine we have 2 rulers. One shows only inches, while the other shows inches and fractions of inches. The ruler with only inches would show that an object is between 1 and 2 inches. The ruler with fractions of inches could indicate that an object measures 1/2 inch. Resolution is expressed in counts. The count indicates how many decimal places the meter can show, and when its measurements will become less precise. When the measurement exceeds the count limit, it loses a decimal place and becomes less precise. Let's go through a few examples. A meter with a 3,200 count can show a maximum value of 3.199 on its display. If the measurement exceeds 3.199, it will lose a decimal place. Once the measurement exceeds 3.199, the meter will lose a decimal place and display 3.20. Accuracy. A multimeter's accuracy indicates how close its measurement is to the actual value. Accuracy is typically expressed using a plus or minus sign along with a percentage. Based on the accuracy rating, the meter's reading may be above or below the actual value by the specified percentage. For example, we have a multimeter with an accuracy rating of plus or minus 5%. We want to measure the voltage of a 100-volt wire. 5% of 100 volts is 5 volts. Our meter can show any value between 100 plus 5 and 100 minus 5. When measuring the 100-volt wire, it will display a value between 95 volts and 105 volts. Conclusion. A multimeter can be used to perform various types of measurements. There are two types of multimeters: digital multimeters, clamp multimeters. Clamp multimeters are safer and more effective at measuring current than digital multimeters. A multimeter's range specifies the maximum and minimum values it can measure. Resolution indicates how many decimal places a meter can show. Accuracy shows how close the measurement is to the actual value.